Good evening, race fans, and welcome back to another Freaky Fast Wednesday broadcast. Here we are at Sonoma Wine Country for the Villalobos Memorial 152, all about remembering a service member lost in the line of duty here. Again, this is the Wicked Racing League, ready to put on 76 laps at this 2-mile road course. It is Carl Pooler, up in the booth with Zach Hall and Robert Moyer Jr. as always with the controls. And Zach, it's always good to see the community get together for a cause, maybe even one as somber as remembering a fallen service member.
That it is, Carl, and it's a very important night here to remember Andrew and yeah, a cryptologic collection seaman in the United States Navy, and gotta really first of all give him all the props for first of all serving our nation's military, but also just an unfortunate tragedy that took his life there, and man, we're gonna be here tonight to remember Andrew, and definitely gonna have a little bit of healing here.
Andrew was affectionately known as V to his friends and family. He joined the service in May of 2014, actually foregoing a scholarship to play football. So the fact that we are talking about him, he lost his life while stationed in Hawaii. So just a tragic accident that it was. But just to show how much of a stand-up person V was and how everyone is remembering him, not only tonight, but forever moving forward.
That we are, Carl, and thank you all for tuning in here tonight with us to remember V. So it's going to be a great night of racing and a great night of remembrance of V's life. So here at the Sonoma Raceway, man, what a place to do it here in wine country, and one of the tougher tracks on the schedule. These guys are going to have to go road course racing here tonight.
Yeah, road course racing indeed, left and right. And there's TJ Roberts, our winner from Daytona, really slinging that car around the S's going up there. And, this track opened in 1968, Zach, but it has never failed to bring an awesome show to the fans. In reality, as much as the virtual sim as we see now, but it is a scorcher. 123 degrees on the track, and we see hard braking going into that hairpin turn 11, and we are going to see stuff like this all night long, because that is a prime overtake spot, prime braking spot, and we're going to see all these drivers taking advantage of that corner.
Yeah, you said it best there. This is the prime overtaking spot of the racetrack down there into turn 11. You got to get a really good exit out of that high-speed right-hander there in turn number 10 after coming down through the hill through the S's. It's a tough technical track. Drivers who can master that tonight will be able to put themselves out front here and see who can hold on to that lead. Because normally here when we come to Sonoma, we talk about a lot of fall off with tires. No fall off here with the next gen. The tires seem to get faster as the run goes on. So we'll see how the strategy plays out with a few guys. But heading into qualifying here, we'll see who can put down the quickest times. Is in practice right there. Gavin Rogers was able to steal that top of the practice times there, Carl. It's going to be close, I think, between these top drivers.
It is going to be very close indeed. And we look back to Watkins Glen. Only 5 drivers finished on the lead lap at the Glen a few weeks ago. Of course, the winner of that was the 78 of Mason Houseman, who kind of was able to punch his ticket into the playoffs with that win. But I don't quite see him showing up here tonight, which is kind of a shocker to me. He's definitely have a foot into the door of the playoffs, but a couple other drivers are going to be looking for that opportunity, especially here at a road course, to maybe get that surprise win and punch their way into the playoffs.
Yeah, it definitely could be that chance for him. I think another driver that's had a spectacular season already and doesn't have to really worry about any of those playoff issues. That's Gavin Rogers, our points leader with 3 wins. I think tonight he could be looking to go get that 4th victory. He did have the fastest car there at Watkins Glen. Gave up that race late in the going to Mason Hossman, who drove one of the best race endings there he possibly could have had. And, man, I think Rogers is going to look to try to come back here tonight, get that victory, and try to get it done. But a little bit of interesting here. You see drivers driving through the dirt there. So I don't know if they're looking to cool the tires down or just a little bit off track.
And that Zach, that really shows how difficult this track is. It seems a little more narrow than your typical road course is, especially for a stock car. such as these heavy next-gen cars. But also, there's very fine line of going off track. It's all grass and dust off, so you tip one toe off of the curb or into that dust, you have a really hard time keeping control of that vehicle, and that's what we're going to see all evening long as these drivers conquer all 11 turns. And there's the 11 Perez D'Amico going around trying to get a lap down.
Well, I can tell you one thing, they're going to have plenty of time here tonight to get this track down. Also, 76 laps here, so we're in for a long haul here. 3 long stages here. Lap 15 will be the first stage. Lap 30 will conclude the second one, and then it will take us all the way to lap 76 where we'll get that checker flag. But definitely a interesting night here, Carl. And the one thing I'm interested to see is how does the tire strategy play out? I know throughout some of the other leagues we've seen drivers not take tires at the pit stops and actually gain time due to that. I'm interested to see if a few of these drivers this week have figured out that not taking of tires seems to be the quicker way to go.
Well, you combine that with the fact that there's 15 laps per stage, but there is only 80% fuel load. These drivers aren't being able to go and race a full race on a full load of fuel, and that is also going to skew maybe their strategy a little bit. Maybe some drivers won't pit during the stage one, but I don't know if you have those numbers, Zach, but even 15 laps on 80% may be pushing it a little bit.
Yeah, it is pushing it a little bit farther, but it should be easily doable at 80% fuel here tonight to get to that lap 15 and that lap 30 stage. Now, that final 46 lap dash to the end there, to lap 76, they are definitely going to have to be making a pit stop there, and we might even have to be possibly looking at another pit stop. So I think they're going to try to split it up, because also we'll have some laps under caution that will help that fuel mileage situation out. And usually here at Sonoma, we can go about 25, 26 laps, so it'll be close, I think, in the realm of fuel for a one stop when we get the stages done. But I think that'll be the huge question when it all comes back around. But right now, the first few times are starting to come through here in our qualifying board, and right now it's Christopher Norris in the 83 machine. Along with him is Ryan Thomas in the 40 right there in second, and it looks like Tyler Dingler is going to be bringing home third as we're watching the 11 Giovanni Perez D'Amico.
D'Amico going down into the hairpin. Oh, no, I'm sorry. That is through the other side. Looks like turn 6 and 7. But look at that. Jamie Plord, he finished third last week in that 5th position as Alex Coffey takes that top spot, claims the pole, provisional pole for now, definitely wanting to keep that car up there. But 1:16.9, much slower actually than his 1:15.5 that he threw down on his practice lap. And just like that, Christopher Norris hops back to the top of the board, and we have even a race for the pole at this point. Track position meaning so much, especially early on in this race.
Yeah, great lap there by the 83 to jump back to the top of the board. I think Alex Coffey will be looking for that second lap to pick up time, and kind of expected this. The first lap, not going to produce too much lap time with the tires still coming up to temperature here with these V7 tires that we have on this next gen. It's very much on the very slick side of things, so drivers still need to get as much heat built up in those tires as possible for that second lap. And D'Amico goes around there as he'll try to get back on the racetrack, but that'll end his qualifying attempt there, as right now he's located 5th on the board.
And that just one more example of how treacherous this track can be, especially going up through the hills and down the hills. And Zach, what kind of challenge does that prevent, especially at this track? The elevation change, as you see the 20 of Nigel Christensen climbing up the hill, cresting the hill, going down, and then going back up. What kind of challenge is that for the drivers at this track here at Sonoma?
It makes it a very tough challenge, first of all, due to that elevation change up and down through these valleys as you go here at Sonoma. And what that does is you got a 3,400-pound stock car, very heavy when it comes to the race car side of things. This thing does not want to turn, and when you're going downhill, gravity is fighting with you at that point, so it makes it even that much tougher. Then when you're going uphill, you actually get this sensation of grip almost coming to the car, because you're actually going uphill fighting gravity, so it's a little bit of resistance being built into the car. So it definitely adds to the way you have to drive it. But I think the biggest thing you have to be good at as a driver here at Sonoma with these hills is the weight change of the car. It comes over these hills, it wants to really ride very, very close to the ground, and sometimes you can even drive it a little bit too deep into these valleys and get a little bit too much of the car. I mean, even bottoming out down there in 3A and 3B.
Bottoming out, bouncing off the curbs as we've seen drivers do. Going off track, all of the challenges these drivers are going to have to endure for 76 laps, as we still have about 3 minutes left in this qualifying session. A couple of drivers have yet to put in a full lap as we see them spinning out, really struggling with the grip on this track. And Zach, just between the practice and the qualifying we've been on stream for, the track temp has gone up another degree. And the contrast between the cold tires and that hot track, does that just make the car that much more slick around these corners?
You know, it helps them get up the temperature faster with the track being hot, but it does quickly lead to overheating issues. And, you know, that still is an issue we run into. It doesn't seem like tire wear is what slows you down nowadays with this next gen. It seems like much more is the tire temperature. So if you do go out there and slide around a lot and overheat the tires, you're not going to make a bunch of speed. Oh, it says that the speed is shown. The 17 of Gavin Rogers just going to narrowly pip Alex Coffey there and take that top position right there to 17. So close times between our top two. Christopher Norris very close also there in that third position with our top three in the 116s. But back deplored, it's about a second.
And in there, Alex Coffey, Gavin Rogers are the only drivers to lead laps at the Glen earlier this season. So it's those two drivers, not a big surprise seeing them dominate the top of the leaderboard. But Christopher Norris put in a strong third place right now with about a minute and a half left. He's already put in his times. Looks like Nigel and the 42 are out on track at the moment, trying to put in a last minute lap. And so right now with about a minute left, how narrow this turn one is, and honestly the start finish, do you approach this track, starting this track, getting that green flag any differently than any other road course?
It's very, very different personally. You know, most road courses we go to, you have a pretty long front straightaway that is very much straight and very much usually a 90-degree right-hander or a 90-degree left-hander. You know, we don't see many road courses that have kind of a uphill bending turn that goes left, back, right. So it adds to that. Also, the straightaway bends a little bit to the left there right before you head up to the hill down the turn one. So it's a very different front straightaway, and that can lead to some interesting restarts. Not only that, but I think we'll see some possible wheel spin on that restart. So it could be a close battle heading down into turn one. And I tell you what, just because you got the pole position as Gavin Rogers, where you start as a leader might not be the prime position heading down into turn one, because if that driver's on your outside there at two, it can be very tough to put the power down with the car on your outside.
Definitely tough to put the power down with a car on your outside, but we mentioned before, that's going up to the first hill, cresting that blind right-hander, and like you said earlier, once the weight lifts off the tires, it gets the car wants to float over there, and so that guy to your right side may cause an issue even hitting that curb. That curb is quite a large curb there up into turn two, so that is something also to watch out for. But as we are talking, the qualifying session has wrapped up here at Sonoma, and Gavin Rogers is leading the field once again here at our road course, and Alex Coffey sitting there in second place. Christopher Norris with the solid top three starting time with the 16.4, followed by Jamie Plord, Laxwee's third place finisher at Talladega. Ryan Thomas is going to round out the top five, while Giovanni Perez D'Amico in the 11 is taking that sixth position. Tyler Dangler is starting in 7th. Dallas Manus is starting in 8th. TJ Roberts in 9th. And rounding out the top 10 will be Christian DeRoche.
In the 11th position, it's going to be the 77 on Jimmy Kubanek. 12th is going to go to Sam Dyer. 13th is going to be Johnny Shade. 14th is going to be the 9 of Chad Bean. 15th is going to be Nigel Christensen. 16th is going to go to Mike Thomas. Revenger there in 17th. He's going to be our race control. 18th is going to go to Richard Wolfesser. And 19th is going to go to Stephen Borbell. 20th, and rounding out our field here tonight is Blaine Wilson for our 76 laps here at Sonoma.
And Richard Wolsifer tried putting time down, but those off tracks at here Sonoma can be really treacherous. You get 1x, and that will void your lap for the entire lap. So you got to go around and do it again, and that just further complicates what this track can do, and really is to the NASCAR drivers as these guys get ready to roll out here for the Villalobos Memorial 152 at Sonoma. And Zach, this is going to be a fun race, I feel like, with all of the strategy that we're going to see, and maybe a surprise winner. This track can deliver all kinds of drama.
That it really can, man. We got the stages there at lap 15 and lap 30, so those stages can also add in some drama because we know we will at least have 3 restarts in this race back after this restart right here after our pace lap, then after stage 1, then another one after stage 2. So we got 3 of those, and we never know. We could be seeing a picture of what we could be looking for later into this race. But as they roll off here and get their pace lap in, we're going to see who can conquer Sonoma here tonight and really figure out this tough, windy track.
The tough track indeed, and here we are rolling around side by side as best as possible. Definitely try and want to stay single file, not wreck your race before it starts. But 2 miles here, Zach. 15 laps. The fuel strategy is going to be important. Tire strategy is going to be important, and it is a scorcher here, so these drivers have their hands full with these loose cars as we see the Porsche crest the hill going into turn 6 here. And this is another dangerous section and another high pass. As we see almost a little bit of contact there. That is all downhill, and another big braking point going here to turn 7. So these a lot of prime passing positions, but you got to make it stick, and you can't lock those brakes up.
Yeah, no doubt, definitely there in turn 7. One of the best spots to pass on the racetrack. That is second to turn 11. So those 2 corners are the best on the racetrack if you're going to get something done. So I think those will be the spots tonight where we see who can look to make the most pace through there and make up the most time. But on this start here, it's going to be interesting to see, can Alex Coffey keep the run through turn 1 on that outside groove here and then have the preferred groove on the inside there for 2. So it's going to be very, very close, I think. It's just all determines who gets that jump on that green flag.
And these 2 drivers have been duking it out, as it were, for some of the best restarts we've seen all season long, and them starting side by side is just going to add to that majesty, as it were, and add to that story. But here we go, going through turn 11, getting ready to take the green flag. Pace car is off. The 7 getting ready to go, but that start zone isn't until later. And here it is, the green flag held by Barney, our flagman, and already trying to get it going. And there it is, the green flag is waving for the Villalobos 152 here at Sonoma.
Look at that, just like I said, around the outside. Alex Coffey here going to have the preferred position down into turn 2, and just like that, going to take the lead as he squeezes the 17 off the road. And the 17 there going to go a little bit wide along with Tyler Dingler. He's off the road too, as 2 cars now off the track as Alex Coffey holds the lead heading up through 3.
But under attack by the 83 of Christopher Norris, starting in the 3rd position. He's going to take that position going into turn 6, and Christopher Norris leading this race, followed by Alex Coffey. But Gavin Rogers, like you said, might have gotten squeezed up there just a little bit, and that's just how difficult this race can be with some of these drivers. And you mentioned it, Zach, sometimes being the pole position starter isn't the best situation, and that just goes to prove for the 17 of Gavin Rogers, just prove that situation true.
That it has shown here, and man, oh man, Christopher Norris shot out of a cannon here on this start. That's great for this 83. We'll see if he can keep it all together, but Alex Coffey here trying to rebound in the 7. He's got Ryan Thomas all over him, but the driver that's going to have to make up the biggest amount of time that's fell back was that number 17 machine of Gavin Rogers. He's well behind this group here, almost behind Kubinek in the 11th position, now heading into 11, and missed 11 there too, as now Kubinek's going to look to the inside for her. So right now, this 17 trying to rebound, but he's got plenty of time here with these stages.
Plenty of time, 3 stages and 76 laps in total, and we're already on lap 2. So he has plenty of time to get it collected, get it together, but he's going to go off again wide at the top of the hill at turn 2, get into the barrier, actually take some damage. So the 17 really struggling early on in this first stage. But here we go, another uphill section, another blind corner, and he's going to miss it as well, going off into the grass there in turn 6, getting passed by the 69 of Tyler Dangler. So Zach, these guys already struggling a lot in this hot track.
Yeah, man, this has been a tough time for that group there, as Kubanek was the one going off there as we ride on board with him. As he's now gotten passed, like you said, by that 19 Tyler Dingler. But, man, Rogers just pushing a little bit too hard early in this going has really put himself in a bad situation. And, you know, I went back and looked at that turn 2 incident, and really just both Coffee and the 17 to Rogers just going wide off the corner. Really wasn't even no doing of Coffee there, shoving the 17 off the 17, just really wide. And oh, now it looks like Kubanek also again wide there.
Kubanek off the track, trying to keep it clean. Kubanek, one of those drivers on the playoff bubble, so he is trying to keep his cars on track and keep it clean all race long, but already keeping it, struggling keeping it on the track. There's TJ Roberts in that hard braking zone in turn 11. They hairpin the last corner before the stretch to the start-finish line, and that's another position for the Daytona winner, TJ Roberts.
A great move from him there in that 3 machine and get that done there past Blaine Wilson to move himself on up as they head around here back up the hill again. It's 3 laps here for the start of this race, but you know, we've seen Norris jump out in that 83 to the lead. Alex Coffey, he's pulled it back in. And, ooh, as we say that, Blaine Wilson there goes around, and that's going to be head first into the barriers for him. That's a tough break for that machine. Now Sam Dyer going by the 19 there of the Stephen Borbell. So great move from Sam Dyer there in the 42. But we're going to have a battle for the lead heading down to 11 now.
Battle for the lead. Alex Coffey in the hard braking zone, taking the inside line, almost hit those barrels. Gets a little loose, but the 83 is going to stick it hard on the outside, and he's going to have the momentum. The 7 can't quite make the pass going into turn 11, but he is hot on the bumper of the 83, looking to make that pass going through 1 and into 2, just like he did at the 17. And here he goes up to the bumper, up the hill, taking the inside line, and he has the launch on the inside, taking that preferred line from the 83, going through down the valley, up into 3 and 4. Wow, and there it is, the 83 fighting back hard for the lead. This is fantastic racing.
Crossover from the 83. Couldn't have said it better myself there, Carl. That was fantastic. But look at that power move around the outside, just barely missing the wall. There goes the 7, Alex Coffey. But look at this, too deep down into 7. It's just too many mistakes. The 7 machine much quicker than this 83, but the mistakes keep it piled up, and the 83 just being much more consistent.
And sometimes it's just missing your apex by those couple of inches. Those mistakes pile up, but right now the 7, Alex Coffey, being able to hold back the 83 of Christopher Norris. Christopher Norris has a good run through turn 10, looking to strike again in turn 11, but decides against it. Gets in line and chooses to set his sights on the bumper, maybe get a little bit of a better run up the front stretch into turn 1 and 2. See a little bit of smoke there, a little bit of lockup. That looks like the one of Mike Thomas might have put it into the fence.
A tough break for that one machine, as he's going to actually tow that race car back to pit road, and now going to have himself 1 lap down. As we look back to the 15th position here, it's Christian DeRoches in his 23. Looks like he's a couple car lengths back from Nigel Christensen in the 20, just directly ahead here, heading down in the turn number 10 as they head to 11 here to complete the 5th lap, or sorry, their 4th lap of this race. And you know, still nearing towards that lap 15 stage, and these drivers, they're going to be looking to get stage points there by the top 10.
And it's still so much time to go, even in this stage. So much racing. We've seen drivers, even the pole sitter, have some issues going off track, trying to recover. But even with that happening, Nigel Christensen, and DeRoches having some contact. Johnny Shade trying to get around this group as well. So all of a sudden, those looking on the outside, looking into top 10, now struggling to maintain their 12th and 13th positions.
What a crazy sequence of events here. Now DeRoches has got the 20 of Christensen all over him. As DeRoches just got to the corner, didn't want to get into Nigel Christensen. They all come to almost a complete stop. That allowed them to both get passed by Blaine Wilson and Johnny Shade. So both those two gained a position out of it, but now Chad Bean closing it in the 9.
And there he is, closing in ever so slowly. Chad Bean, we've been able to say his name a couple of times the past couple of weeks. Definitely trying to find a rhythm. And at Watkins Glen, he did fairly well for himself as well. So already at Sonoma, Chad Bean just trying to claw his way back and maybe even try and stay on the lead lap so he doesn't fall that treacherous one lap down here at a road course.
Yeah, you definitely don't want to lose that lap because, you know, those stages are coming. You will, if you do lose that lap, get that lucky dog if you can be the first driver one lap down. But if you're a lap down here, getting the lucky dog is almost pretty much a death sentence, in my opinion, because literally you are done for that race. You have to take the lucky dog all the way around, and then you're going to hit pit road. You'll pretty much be coming out 40, 30 seconds behind the cars once it goes back green. It is a tough time trying to get a lucky dog here on a road course.
You know, maybe looking at a silver lining in that situation, Zach. We saw in the first restart how bunched and clustered they were and how many incidents and off tracks there were in the first couple of corners. That could be a blessing in disguise, being able to take that green flag and being by yourself, not having to worry about racing anyone around you, hoping on a couple of mistakes of the drivers in front of you for some position. So maybe a silver lining, a little bit of strategy having to be thought about here. But already 7 laps in, and we are getting ready for a couple more, about halfway through this stage. So a lot of these drivers still racing for stage points.
Yeah, and I'm interested to see, is there going to be any strategy pulled here? Are we going to see some drivers come down, just top the car off, not even get tires here before that stage caution comes out to really utilize those stage cautions and jump some drivers and gain some track position? Because, you know, if you pit lap 14, that one lap before that lap 15 stage, you could no doubt make it to that lap 30 stage by topping the car off there and then not having to come down under green, or under caution. So we could see some drivers maybe elect to try to pull that strategy. You just got to make sure you'll stay on that lead lap, and pretty much that's going to be any drivers up there in that top 5.
And after that, top in 6th position, Giovanni Perez D'Amico, that delta is going to be really precarious taking that time if you don't pit, or if you do try to pit that far behind the leader, Zach. And how easy are those calculations to do in your head while you're driving, trying to make sure you're close enough to the leaders to pit and make that strategy work?
Well, I always give this good advice to a lot of drivers: do your homework. Because if you didn't do your homework and bring your notes before the race, trying to calculate the math in your head here while you're racing, I mean, that is physically impossible almost at that point. You're pretty much looking at it, probably running into a tire barrier trying to do some stuff like that, because it just takes so much mental focus to get around a track like this. And you can see right now the mental focus is definitely going on right here around for this 4th position is Manis here in this 45. He's got the 38 Applaud here looking to maybe take this position, but they're running up on some lap track here of the Roaches.
The Roche going to take off on the course there, just give these guys some space. But Dallas Manis starting in 8th position all the way up in 4th. A great drive for him. And then 38 behind him started in 4th. Only lost the position to Dallas himself in 5th. So he is doing very well as well. Dali Dangler, another one of those drivers who's doing well for himself, holding strong. Started 7th, is running 7th currently. So a lot of these drivers up here in the front, at least, being able to stabilize and not make any huge mistakes. Maybe not the fastest cars on the course at the moment, but sometimes, Zach, being clean and being consistent can win you a race more than being just fast.
That it can, Carl, especially at a road course. That is where being clean and consistent, I think, shines its most. So we'll see who can continue to do that tonight. But you can see here, it's Tyler Dingler in this 69 machine. He's got Gavin Rogers, our pole sitter, all over the back bumper as they're actually right behind Gavin Rogers' teammate Giovanni Perez. They're right up ahead of him. So it's a 3-way battle right here, heading down here to turn number 6 to turn 7. And we'll see, can this 17 continue to make his charge up? Because, you know, really looking at his lap times, he is starting to find a little bit of pace here late in the going. It really just didn't seem to come to him here at the start of this race. They're sitting on pole, and you know, he's still got plenty of time though, Carl. This race is well from over.
Far from over, definitely, and we still have 7 laps to go in this stage as Alex Crafty looks across the start-finish line to start a lap 10, so that'll be 6 laps to go in this stage. And with that, Zach, you mentioned it, these cold tires, and now Gavin Rogers is putting down some of the fastest laps on the track right now. We see a little bit of a lockup there in this group with D'Amico, Dangler, and Rogers. But with that, maybe the fact that he wasn't used to cold tires, hasn't run the cold tires as much as being on a run on warm tires, and that could have easily affected how that car started off this race. But right here, we have a battle, three-way battle here for the 6th position between the 11, the 69, and the 17. Ooh, looks like the 11 trying to widen out that corner just a little bit, take it up the hill. But there's the 69 to take that spot back and try and gain a little bit of time going here into 6. Oh, he's going to go off the track just a little bit, going to the outside, using that little runoff space. So rare here around Sonoma.
Yeah, that was almost a nice pass around the outside, just not the room to do it there. And man, Tyler Dingler got the reset now, trying to get something set up here on D'Amico. It's going to be his teammate Gavin Rogers right behind him. If he makes one little mistake, Rogers takes the position from him, and then D'Amico probably not going to make it the toughest on Rogers being his teammate. But here heading down into the 10, this is going to set it up here. Tyler Dingler with the good run, same for the 17. But here heading down to 11, can D'Amico outbreak him? And he really gets in deep, and look at that head first in the barrier, and that just shows you even Tyler Dingler missed it. They all went in deep there, and now Gavin looks to take the position, but I think Dingler going to have the run coming out of 11.
Who's going to have the run, but Dangler, Rogers into the outside wall, bouncing around. But here we have a fun battle as well here for the 12th position of Sam Dyer, Richard Wolsifer passing it back and forth, really going through the back half of this track. It looks like Christian DeRoche, maybe a mobile issue, but there we are. We see some drivers already hitting pit road, and when I mean hitting it, I mean literally seeing him bounce off the wall there. But this drive right here, these 3 drivers, Kudenek, Dyer, and Wolsifer, also battling for position, trying to get into that top 10 position.
Yeah, all these drivers battling, and that was, I can confirm on that pit wall, that was TJ Roberts in the 3. He broke a toe link, tried to get the pit road, and that thing did not turn from there. And that car completely destroyed, having to take a tow, and I'm not sure if he'll be able even to get back out here. I know we do have one fast repair, but we'll see what he can do. But as we near closer to that lap 15 stage, I'm wondering, will we see any pit strategy be pulled out? And when pit strategy needs to be talked about, I tell you what, folks, you can go out there and check out one of our great sponsors, and that's the admin box out there, because that admin box, one of the best sim racing button boxes out there, that not only gives you the admin functionality that most button boxes don't give out there, but it also gives you the driver functionality like most others. So it has dual functionality there, able to control your driver's functions such as pitting, hitting a pit stop, or controlling the race such as throwing yellow flags or clearing black flags. So make sure you go check out admin box at adminbox.com. And make sure you use our promo code FFB/BOXX for a discount at purchase. But great battling going on here. It looks like, Richard going to dive in deep, but I think now the crossover maybe going to come from behind.
Also for locking up that right front tire for a long time, and that heating up, Zach, you mentioned that can definitely maybe not degrade the tires, but affect the handling on it, and you need those front tires to help that car turn on a hot day like today. So Wolsifer already struggling just a little bit, trying to maximize the room of that turn 11. Just might have mismeasured it just a little bit, misjudged it. But right now there's a large gap between first and second as Richard Wolsifer again off the track at the top of the hill. It looks like he may fall into the clutches of another car behind him. So instead of going to be the passer, he may be the passee here in turn 7. So how quickly in a lap this 2-mile road course a race can change for you.
Yeah, this is for that final and last spot in the stage points here, is that 10th position. So Borbell looking to possibly get that from him, but we look up here to Plord. He is still trying to run down the 40 here. Thomas now, as he's got lap traffic right ahead of him of the 20 of Christensen and Shade, as he's gotten past Manis, who's actually made a mistake back there in the 45. So the 45 is off track right now.
45 is off track, and it looked like it took him quite a bit of time to get it corrected. I don't see any damage on the car at the moment, but that was a huge incident for the 45, and he's going to lose a ton of positions. He's going to fall way down the line there as he tries to make it to pit road, but maybe we'll see. But these drivers, Plor, just trying to get around all this lap traffic and keep his solid 4th spot and maybe set his sights on Thomas. But you can't be thinking too much. There's 2 laps now until this stage at 15. So he has to be thinking long term and not fight these lap cars too hard.
Yeah, getting closer to the end of this stage here, stage number 1, and getting around the lap cars. There goes Plord. He's about 7 seconds behind Thomas. So still a sizable gap there for that third back to 4th position. But now Shade and Christian, they battle, because this could be the battle for the lucky dog here in this stage, and that could be a huge thing to help their chances for later in this race.
Well, we still have about a lap and a half to go. Our leader, the 7 of Alex Coffey, is trying to track down the 77 of Kubanek to put him a lap down. He looks like he's close. But we see there 24 Chinese Shade going off track at the top of the hill. He's going to make his way on track and not spin out and lose too much time. But Nigel Christensen doing a really good job keeping that 24 behind him and maybe possibly maintaining that lucky dog position.
Yeah, looking to maintain that lucky dog, no doubt here, Carl. And that's going to be a huge battle here for the later stages of this race, and could come back to be what makes or breaks as we look back through the field here. Here's Alex Coffey coming through as our leader, as he's going to take the final lap here in the white flag for this stage. We'll see when does he come back around to get the caution, but we'll see who elects to do anything. But Coffey goes around and spins actually on this lap. He's in the dirt. Christopher Norris goes by and takes the lead.
Wow, and just like that, as we look to see the green and white checkered flag for the stage, we will see a pass for the lead as the leader makes a mistake on the hill again, Zach. So right now, that hill seems to be a huge problem spot for some of our faster cars, just really struggling getting the grip and getting the power down, as we see our pole sitter and now our leader for the past 10 laps make a mistake up there. Definitely intriguing indeed. We'll have to keep an eye on that as the race goes along. He fell way down the order, and that's I'm really struggling to try and find him. It looks like he fell down to 3rd, filing in behind Ryan Thomas.
Yeah, definitely still cycling through here for a lot of drivers trying to make positions if they can. But here coming out at 11, our leader, Christopher Norris, after taking the lead on the final lap of the stage. He's going to come out 11, and he's going to look to get the victory here for the stage. And then Thomas is going to hold off for 2nd. Coffey going to be in 3rd. This is crazy to see. And look at Tyler Dingler. He's looking to get out there too and hold on to the 5th position right ahead of Gavin Rogers, as there goes the stage caution as it comes out, Carl.
Is the top 10 finishers of that stage will get some stage points, and a lot of those drivers, especially between the 8th and 10th positions, are looking and needing those stage points to proceed through and try and get into the playoffs. Richard Wolsifer finishing in the 8th position is one of those drivers. He's in 18th in the standings, about 45 points out, so he can try and dig and claw his way back up with one more stage and one more chance for points before the end of the race.
That there is these drivers still come around in pace. We look at the end of the stage here as Christopher Norris takes home the victory here in stage number 1. Ryan Thomas is going to come home in the 2nd spot. 3rd is going to go to Alex Coffey after dominating that stage. 4th is going to go to Jamie Plord. 5th is going to go to Tyler Dingler. 6th place is going to go to Gavin Rogers in the 17 machine. 7th is going to go to Dallas Manis. 8th is going to be Richard Wolfeser. 9th is going to be Sam Dyer, and rounding out the final point given is Steven Borbell in that 19, Carl, and that's going to be one good point for that 19.
Yeah, Steven Borbell won a race earlier this season, but you can never have too many points. You want to keep up and maintain that point bucket, as it were. You never know when those can come in handy. This is the second to last race of the regular season, with Las Vegas coming up next, and that ought to be a fun one to watch as these drivers battle it out to see who makes it into the playoff picture. But right now we have Sonoma, the second to last race, and a road course. These drivers are just ticking away the laps, trying to keep it clean, and some happy drivers at 69 Tyler Dangler being able to keep it clean and in the top 5. Jamie Plord is well in front of him with the 4th position. A lot of these drivers doing really well up, making their way through the field.
That they are making their way on up here as this first stage caution has come out as they continue to look to catch up to that pace car and look to get maybe some pit road service done. I'm interested here, Carl, when they come down here, what will they be doing? What type of service? Will they be changing tires, or will we just see fuel only for majority of the field? I think that could be the case.
And that could ultimately decide the rest of this race. Another restart coming up as the pace car collects our leader, Christopher Norris, followed by Ryan Thomas and Alex Coffey. So these a lot of these drivers looking for this pit service and looking for that fuel, but we will see as these drivers make their way down into that turn 11 where that pit entry is. And looks like our leaders, all our leaders may be going into. There's Plord. Looks like, yeah, definitely all these drivers looking to top off on at least fuel. Tires, though, still to be determined.
Yeah, that's what we'll see here if it is done on pit road. And man, what a intense ending right there with Coffee spinning coming out of turn number 2 to drop back to 3rd. That was unfortunate for him. Luckily for him, though, the stage break will allow him to right back up there and restart in a good spot. So we'll see how it all works out here, and we've got to see what goes down on pit road. Will we see tires changed, or will we see these drivers just elect to take fuel?
And here we are just watching these drivers. Oh, some sides up, a couple of drivers electing to choose tires, some other drivers getting fuel only here. So already the stretch in the strategy playing out. Christopher Norris taking only fuel, Ryan Thomas taking only fuel, but Alex Coffey, Jamie Plord is going to take some tires, but Tyler Dangler taking only fuel. A mixed hodgepodge of strategies up here in the top 5.
Different all types of strategies for sure playing out, and we'll have to see how that shakes things out when we get this restart ready to go, because yeah, I'm interested. You know, a lot of drivers changing tires right there, including Alex Coffey. I've seen this, this thing play out before, and it's definitely, in my opinion, a little bit better to take those older tires.
At least to go to stage 2, at least have that heat maintained in them. But another item of note, Zach, Ryan Thomas looks like he got off pit road the quickest. He only had a 5.3 second pit stop. Ooh, I kind of question how much fuel he actually got in that car, and if it will be enough to take him to the end of the stage at lap 30.
Yeah, I question that too, and I mean, maybe he has a little bit better wherewithal than we do, but we'll see. I don't think they would have had to put too much crazy amount of fuel in this car here. Probably you're looking at most at least needing around 10 gallons here to make this whole entire stage. So you can see them probably burning 10 there on that original, and with it being about 18 gallons in this car with the 80% fuel load, you're at least needing at least 2 gallons, I'd say. And that could be put in pretty quickly. So I think he should be all right, but we'll have to see. He should know best out there on track, but we've seen crazier things before.
Yes, we have, and a road course is just one of those other places that you see all these crazy things, and just the fact that we've seen both of our leaders spin out early in this race have issues. A hot track, it's just been nothing but action packed with this 2-mile course here in wine country. 30 minutes north of the Golden Gate Bridge. This is kind of where everyone goes to relax and enjoy the hot summer sun. I know a lot of drivers and fans themselves enjoy this race so much to make a whole weekend of it. I wish I could, but this race here is also doing really well, and just really clean for the most part. Some drivers self spins, but no major contact to speak of.
Yeah, no major contact definitely to speak of here, and looks like we have extended this yellow too by 1 lap here to help everybody get caught up. So we'll have a little bit longer break here, but we'll continue to pace. And this is going to bring Gavin Rogers even back in the scenario. He's going to be about the 9th position once it all gets lined back up. But I'm interested to see what the new tires can do, what can the old tires do, and what will drivers learn from that first stage that they can carry into this second stage, because that's That's the one thing, most leagues we commentate out there on Freaky Fast, we have one stage. So you have that one stage to kind of figure things out, get figured out what you need to do when that caution comes out to fix the rest of your race. But, man, if you don't figure it out here in 2 stages tonight, then you're going to have a tough time in that final one.
Definitely, and it's always a learning process, having to transition the car, see how the tires do, see the temperatures. The temperature in the track we've been hit on, it's been really warm out here today, but these drivers have been doing really well, and the strategy is going to make it that much more interesting, Zach, and you hit it right on the head there. Who's going to fire off better? Who's going to have a long running car that can handle better? And that's just all going to come down to so many different factors, and who can make the least mistakes. Some of our faster cars this evening have made mistakes, and they've lost multiple positions because of it. So really, it may just come down who made the fewest mistakes when this checkered flag flies.
That it very well might come down to, Carl, and that we see mistakes, how big they could be already. So I think you might be spot on with that, and we'll have to see how it all shakes out here with this next restart. Christopher Norris is going to lead us to that green. He fired off pretty well on those new tires the first time. We saw guys struggle this first couple laps on new tires. So I'm interested to see, with these longer pace laps here, the tires even cooling down more. Those new tires might not fire off too well here. The guys on the older tires might have a little bit of the upper hand here at the start, but will that come back around? I think that could be the question that we need to ask ourselves. And who's going to make the least amount of mistakes here is Christopher Norris, in a surprise fashion, takes stage number 1 here tonight.
And just like a road course, surprising indeed, we have a bunch of drivers we don't normally mention up at the front, but you see it, ladies and gentlemen, we are side by side. Flagman is ready to give the green flag any moment as these drivers make their way down into the hairpin and around. The pace car already off the track and onto pit lane. And these drivers side by side looking to take that green flag again here for the beginning of stage 2. Side by side, 38, Christopher Norris, the 40, Ryan Thomas up at the front. We saw a spin out earlier on. Will we see another one? And there it is. The green flag flies here at Sonoma with the 83, a dominating restart there to take the green flag.
Yeah, definitely a dominating restart here as 83 storms up to turn number 2. Ryan Thomas holds on to the second spot, but as you look through the back of the field here, everybody looking to gain positions as they come through. And Tyler Dingler and Alex Coffey involved in an incident heading down to turn 3 as it spins the 19 around as he's in the dirt. Actually the 69. Is in the dirt. Is now contact between the 56 and the 19.
And contact up through the hill. Couple of spins, and that was just some bad timing. And Zach, you mentioned it, that's where you lose a lot of the feel of the car and just where it's you struggle to maintain the grip. And right there we saw it cause calamity, and we're already turn 2, turn 4 calamity corners here earlier on in this race.
That they are, man. And this is already starting off very interestingly for the guys on new tires. Seems like they've already had a little bit of troubles here to start it off. Two older sets of tires have fired off pretty well, but guys just going off left and right in turn 10. It's just like there's oil there, but I think everybody not on the cold tires there just misjudging it.
No one on these cold tires are prepared for it. And there we see a little bit of tire smoke from the 42. Sam Dyer struggling to get that car under control. And we see the 19 and the 77 right there with them. But a lot of these drivers, you mentioned it, Zach, on the new tires, struggling with the handle on that car, except, the 69, Tyler Dingler, having an incident with the 7, and the 56, Richard Wolsifer, having issues with the 19. Those two are the only 2 drivers on old tires there at the last bit of the top 10, 9th and 10th, respectively.
Yeah, this is some intense battling going on, man, as we try to get to that lap 30 stage, and it's going to be quickly there. I mean, look, we're coming around this time to complete 22. It's going to be 8 to go in the stage, just like that before a blink of an eye. So you got to get stuff done here, and drivers right now trying to fire off on them colder tires just has not been able to. And we've had multiple incidents on these restarts, and guess what? We got another one coming up here soon.
And the cautions seem to breed cautions. There aren't guaranteed cautions here, only local cautions, unless there's a huge stack up there at the front straightaway. And Zach, the funny thing about this track, the reason that front straightaway is what it is is in turn 11. That's the staging area for the drag strip. You see the walls there? That is a drag strip in this road course, and I just how this track is so adaptive and been able to be a mainstay for the NASCAR community and NHRA has just been fantastic, and it's again proving to give fantastic racing here virtually tonight.
And look at this, Ryan Thomas takes the lead, but he makes a mistake in 3, and it gives it back to Norris. I mean, Christopher Norris is just literally not taking himself off the road tonight, while the rest of his competition has been, I would say, much faster. It's just he hasn't made the mistakes to allow him to slip back there. So, man, oh man, we just seen that. That was crazy. Sam Dyer had a little bit of a moment. That lets Tyler Dingler, his teammate, go by. But, whew, you can see here, Thomas now all over the back of Plord as it's going all around here at Sonoma.
And there's Alex Coffey sitting in 3rd position. So Alex Coffey is cycling there, and it's just been a very frustrating race for some of these faster drivers, being able to take that speed, but making those mistakes. And we hit it on it in the first stage, Zach. Those who make the fewest mistakes may actually end up winning this race and not be the fastest driver. We're seeing it right now with the 83 so far, putting on a clinic in the 2nd stage.
Is Blaine Wilson here in this 18. 3 laps down, unfortunately for him, as he closes in onto Sam Dyer here in his 42, but this won't be a pass for position, as that's the 8th spot right up ahead of him. But 18 having troubles there in that first stage, went laps down, and oh, Ryan Thomas on pit road in the 40, so he's had enough. He comes down the pit road.
Oh no, Ryan Thomas down. Oh, maybe had some damage or overheated those tires, as we mentioned. Oh, and there's the 42 getting squirrely again. Further back on, there is a cluster. That's the 18, that's the 56 to 77 having issues. So just like that, more passing for position. Drivers who had incidents earlier on in this race are cycling back to the front as more drivers in front of them continue to struggle with the grip on this track. Already cycling left and right, back and forth. Oh man, gotta love road course racing.
That you do. Gotta love the road course racing out there, man. It's been fantastic here tonight, and as we watch this battle, our lead battle even heats up. Horse Richard makes a mistake, and oh, just heavy hit into the tire barrier. And it just seems like any car we get on here with our camera, they just have a major moment. Here's they now head to turn 10. Here Sam Dyer has the lap car of Blaine Wilson right behind. I think he might let this 18 go. Is a little bit loose there and does let the 18 go down there into 11. Smart move from the 42.
And the 18 locks it up just a little bit, takes it wide, but maintains that spot as the 56 we saw earlier makes his way to pit road to get some of that damage repaired. But right now, our leader, Christopher Norris, actually within the grasp of Alex Coffey again. So this is a battle for the lead is going to be heating up. But we see Sam Dyer going up through the hill, down through the goalie there, and making it his way back up the hill. And Sam Dyer just trying to maintain his pace and maintain his race and doing really well for himself.
Yeah, just doing the best he possibly can, but we jump up to the lead. It's the 83 Christopher Norris still with the lead with the older set of tires, but the new set of tires have come back around. Here they are, Alex Coffey, and I don't even know if it's personally the tires. I think Coffey just has the pace advantage over this 83, but I think the older set of tires is working just fine for this 83. He's been doing personally fantastic keeping the car on the track. It's just been the mistakes around him that have allowed him to keep this lead. We'll see King Coffey get the lead and try to run away.
With that crossing of the stripe, we are 5 laps to go in this stage, and with the past 2 laps, Zach, Alex Coffey has been the fastest car on the track, so he is already looking to make a pounce for the lead, going through the S's and up and down the hills. The 7, oh, he's going to go off track just a little bit, but he's going to gather up, not spin it. He has to get off the throttle a little bit, but that is going to help him maintain and try and hunt back down that 83 machine.
And it's so easy to make those mistakes. Is now heading down the 7. You'll see it's going to be the 83 and Norris there. Just really, he's just been solid. That's really the only thing we can describe him. Hasn't been the fastest. It's just been solid pace. And I think Coffey, he's faster. It's just he overdoes it when he tries to get too close and get too much time. If he just lets it come to him, he should be able to get this position. But he knows that stage caution does come at lap 30. And he wants to get it done quickly, as now he'll be heading down to 11. He was close enough to maybe think about it, but just not close enough to make the move. But Going to look to the outside here, maybe for a little bit of a crossover on the exit, but Christopher Norris holds on to that spot as they're going to complete lap 26 and be 4 to go here in stage number 2.
And, you know, Zach, talking about mistakes or not making them, we've noticed a lot of drivers, especially in the front, either overdrive the corner, allowing the driver behind them to do the crossover and stuff like that. No, there it is, the 7 making a great move at the top of turn 2 and going side by side through here, up and down, and he is going to complete the pass with the 83 going for the crossover, and they are side by side going down the hill into the hard braking zone, turn 6, and the 7 is going to prevail like he did earlier on that outside lane using that overflow area. But right now the 7 are struggling. Ooh, really got squirrely, entered a little too shallow. The 83 though not able to pass, and just like that, lead is back in Alex Coffey's hands.
Back to the lead for the 7 machine, and whew, it was a deja vu moment there as they had to cross over through 3A through B, heading down the 6, and whew, that was an intense battle as Coffey makes the pass around the outside, but Norris going to slot back to second as now Coffey going to try to hold on here for a stage victory, but we know he gave it up last time on the white flag lap, and Norris is even closer here, so you know that 7's going to be pushing the limits here. Will he make that same mistake, or will he get through scot-free this time and learn what he did on that first stage?
Well, it looks like he's learning really well, kind of just keeping it conservative, keeping it within the striping and within the curbs, not really attacking the curbs as much for the most part is the 7, and he's doing actually being able to pull away as about a half a second gap to the second place of the 83 behind him. And here it is, our the 40 machine of Ryan Thomas. He is sitting there in the 8th after battling for 3rd and almost for the lead as we see the 45 around in turn 11. But the 40 was up in the front, made a mistake and ended back. But going back to my discussion about mistakes, Zach, how often do you try and drive out of your mirror, as it were, looking at the car behind you at a road course, and will that lead you to a mistake?
Yeah, you know, it's personally, looking in your mirror is one of the easiest ways to make the mistake. When you don't have pressure, running a road course is all about just flowing and hitting your marks, not overdoing it. When you got someone behind you, you're always trying to get that little bit more. And I personally, as a driver, would love to always be able to take a little bit back and then push a little bit more. It's always easier to make that mistake when you're on the nice edge instead of just a little bit below that grip level. So, you know, Coffey trying to open up the gap in that time there. I mean, opened it up about a second full back to Christopher Norris. So just shows the pace in hand of that 7. It's just the mistakes cannot be made, because if they do, they'll come back to bottom here late in this race.
Well, both of those drivers have made few mistakes. They have almost a 10-second gap on the rest of the field. So they have combined led all the laps between them and have made a gap between all these other drivers in the rest of the field. So these two drivers at the front have been doing really well, separating themselves from the rest of the field as they make their way through some of this lap traffic. But the 69 Tyler Dangler, he is putting on a decent show for himself as well. Started 7th position, up into 4th right now, and also one of those drivers capitalizing on the mistakes of the competitors in front of him. So Tyler Dangler having a really solid race for himself tonight as well.
Yeah, he's been very much solid, and he's going to get some great stage points here, possibly here coming up to this lap 30 stage. And as Coffey comes down to 11 this final time, he'll be looking to get the white flag for the stage here for stage number 2 and possibly set himself up for a stage victory. We saw last time, I don't want to say nothing's guaranteed, because we saw last time the mistake being made and give up that lead on that very last lap, but he has crossed the line now. We'll see what he can do here on this next lap to try to hold off that 83 machine.
Up and over turn 2, the place where he lost it in stage 1, but he gets through it scot-free. Maybe a little wide, but he's still on the track, pointed forward, going up through the hill and down into turn 6. So the 7 looks like he may have it in the bag, but still about a half a lap to go. And the 83 hot on his heels, about a second back. Not to say he won't make a move there, but it would be kind of a stretch for him to do anything unless he was able to close that gap going into turn 11.
Yeah, trying to close the gap, but just not going to be close enough. It's going to need to be a mistake from the 7 machine if the 83 wants a chance. But one final time through the S's here for stage number 2 for the 7 machine, Alex Coffey. And Carl, he's doing it well here. He got the new tires, Don't know if they made the pace difference that he thought they would, but he's just looked very smooth here in this second part of the stage.
And tires going to be another point of strategy here. At the end of this stage, these drivers are going to pit for at least fuel again. And some of these drivers are going to learn from other drivers. We may see an inverse in strategy. The 30 or the 83 may take tires and the 7 may not. And that'll also shake up the field as they see the caution for the second stage fly on the completion of that lap 30. Alex Coffey taking those 10 points. The 83 of Christopher Norris sitting there in second. Jamie Plord in the 38's doing really well in that third position. Tyler Dangler still in that fourth position. Fifth position goes to Stephen Borbell. Sixth goes to Ryan Thomas. GB Kubanek is going to bring it home in seventh. Sam Dye, the last car on the lead lap, in eighth. Nigel Christensen in ninth for the first car lap down, followed by the 45. Dallas Manis rounding out the top 10.
Yeah, what a crazy stage there in stage number 2 here for the Wicked Racing League. And Alex Coffey able to hold off the 83 of Christopher Norris there and get back to the lead after that blunder in stage number 1. But as these drivers look to catch up with the pace car here at Freaky Fast Broadcasting, we're going to look to head to our first commercial break here of the night and try to see who's going to be able to get their stuff done here under pit stops, as it's been one heck of a night so far here, as these drivers have just been battling the conditions out here. Hot racetrack, very much been a tough time. But here at the Wicked Racing League, you ain't going to miss a thing, because we're going to go side by side here while they hit pit road. We'll be right back in a few moments, folks.
sideways everywhere. Come on, man, do what you can. The vibration in this car is the worst vibration that I've ever had, and the shifter's broken again.
Following, they're wrecking, they're splitting, and it's a complete mayhem.
We have a wreck at the front. 19 goes down into the 7, takes out the double zero.
They're 5 wide behind for fifth. Oh my, the 5 wide here, this ain't gonna work, is it? They're already wrecking into turn 1, and now coming through that of turn 2. This is it, the Daytona. Oh no, they're wrecking contact. Sets gets into the wall, gonna be scattering on the outside. Drivers on the apron, drivers coming out of nowhere. Edison on the outside, trying to get the win. And it's William Edison stealing it at the line.
Into the wall. The 18 trying to block. 77 get into the 18. That leaves 3 of TJ Roberts. 17 to Gavin Rogers. 3 of TJ Roberts is gonna steal the win here.
What second fiddle so many times last season. Christopher Wade wins the season 5 Daytona 200.
And we are back green at Wine Country. Our top 2 cars are the 7 and the 19, and they did not pit that last pit cycle. They stayed on the track, so strategy doing a 360 and not even coming to the pit lane to get service. Zach, so our top 2 drivers on 19 lap old tires.
And that one of those cars on those older tires was Steve Morgan, like you said, the 19. He is on pit road now. He was on his lid in turn 6 somehow. He got flipped over. I don't know exactly how. I think he actually got into the outside wall. I don't know if he had some type of brake failure heading down to 6, but hit the wall so hard he flipped over and was just sitting on his roof. So had to tow that car back to pit road. But man, this is set up an interesting scenario. And you know, with Alex Coffey's strategy here, I'm kind of questioning it. You know, maybe he feels like he has enough fuel in the car to make it to the point where he knows he can make it to the end, but we'll have to see. That's the big question I think it needs to still be asked.
And Alex Coffey doing really well. Right now, our only driver really in the race that led any kind of laps during Watkins Glen. So Alex Coffey, arguably our most experienced driver out in the field, leading laps. But the 83 of Christopher Norris looks to be back under attack by the 40 of Ryan Thomas. Ryan Thomas had an incident earlier in the stage, last stage, and he looks like he's recovered nicely, sitting in a 3rd position with Tyler Dangler right behind him in 4th. So these drivers, the 2nd, 3rd, and 4th cars, all almost within a blanket of each other trying to make the pass.
Yeah, definitely all stacked up around Tommy Joe. Here comes Thomas to the inside of this 33, and it's going to be a big lock up there, and he'll try to take that spot. But Sam Dyer back here, he's got Nigel Christian all over him. They were sliding through that corner, but look at this, the 40 still keeping it on the door. Norris, though, able to keep it to the inside, but they'll stay side by side. This is allowing Alex Coffey to get a little bit farther away up the road, because we'll see what pit strategy plays out for him, and will it have an effect on the results here for later in the race? How big a lead does Coffey need to build up for his strategy to work out? We'll see what shakes out. But right now, Tyler Dingler even coming into the picture here in this 69 machine.
This 7 of Alex Coffey has about a 3-second gap already to this cluster of cars, and looks like Tyler Dangler and Christopher Norris going to use that runoff area, try and gain a little more momentum. But Ryan Thomas is going to make the pass on the 83 for that 2nd position. So right now, with the pass there, Thomas is going to look and set his sights on that first position, and Christopher Norris did really well in that second stage. Right now, sitting here in third, trying not to fall even further behind the 40 machine.
Yeah, a little bit of struggle here on the start of this stage and on those newer tires. So that is to be expected, I think, in my opinion, from him here, as he's on the back bumper there. But definitely a little bit of a stack up there. But look back to that 45 of Dallas Manis. He needs to make the big run back up here. He was at one point in the top 5 in this race, had some good pace. We'll see, can he make his way back towards the front of the field? But Christian Norris keeps the pressure on, and that's the big thing. We've seen pressure leads to mistakes here tonight, and that is going to be what could possibly come down to shake it out here all at the end. But you know, it was actually a little bit of contact last time down in the 6 from the 42, that 83 that opened up the door in the 7. So if the 83 gets back to him at any point, I wonder if there will be a little bit of contact, as it didn't look very intentional to me, but it definitely helped open the door for that 40.
And Zach, sometimes the contact around here isn't intentional. It's just sometimes you lose control of the car and there's nothing you can do but just kind of hold on and don't make a bad situation worse. And both of those drivers were able to get around. But here it is, the 42, Sam Dyer, battling the 45 of Dallas Manis, trying to get those positions. This is for 7th, and Dallas Manis. Oh, there goes the 18, Blaine Wilson, with another issue, just like the 19 of Steven Borbell. A really bizarre situation for a couple of these drivers in 2018 racing with breaking into these zones.
Yeah, I don't know what happened. That either had to be some type of malfunction. I don't know. That was very awkward moment there for that 18. Very similar even to Borbell. I mean, it was head on, you know, over a curb even that time. He even jumped in front of Sam Dyer. Sam Dyer probably had to take a pretty big deep breath there as that 18 flew by. But man, oh man, this has changed the whole scheme and aspect of how this race could even play out. Is now, look at this. It's the 69 machine of Tyler Dingler. Oh, he's going to miss the corner here heading down the 6. That's going to allow Gavin Rogers in the 17 to get by. And Gavin Rogers, I can inform everybody, is 5 laps down to the 15th position. Had internet issues, and really unfortunate for him.
And that's the second race, either this or a couple of weeks ago, Gavin Rogers had some connection issues as well. Going into this race, Gavin Rogers had about a 45-point lead to the 7 of Alex Coffey, but Gavin Rogers multiple laps down. Alex Coffey leading this race. That could just put another huge dent into the point lead that Gavin Rogers has built up over the length of this season with those 3 wins and those multiple podium positions. But here it is, the 83 of Christopher Norris trying to put the pressure on the 40, really shoving that car into the corner, pushing it really hard into corner entry, but can't quite close the gap between him and the 40.
Yeah, this is a close battle still between these two, and just seems like those tires now start to come into window for that 38 machine, or sorry, that 83 machine is he comes out of that turn there, and you see Gavin Rogers there flying in the 17, but unfortunately for him, it's just not going to be enough time in this race for him ever to get back in within a shot. But still only about 3 seconds separating our top 3 here, and you know, with that little bit of distance, I still feel like having hit pit road and already got some fuel in your car is going to be a better scenario here when we have to come to pit road at some point for that stop to get us to the end of this race.
And it could be way sooner than we think. But Zach, talking about fuel, talking about tire strategy, what we've hit on it. Oh, there's a car in the barrels off there in turn 10. But we've mentioned how light these cars get. That fuel is burning off. The 19 and the 7 didn't pit, so they have much less fuel than either of these other cars in the field. How much will that weight loss really affect these drivers' race? It looks like the 7 had an issue in turn 11, and that allowed the 40 and the 83 to really get up on the bumper of the 7, and just like that, the 3-second lead that the 7 had is disappeared.
And just like that, the lead does disappear, and man, that is not what Coffey wanted to see. And right now, our top 3 all stacked up with each other with the lap car of Gavin Rogers as they all come out of that corner sideways over the top of the hill. And right here, this race is starting to heat up here in the closing moments. As Rogers in the 17 coming up to the back of the 83. They're almost into him. Got to be careful. They're 5 laps down. Don't want to be affecting those leaders.
Don't want to affect it all, but one lap car that did affect the leaders was Chad Bean. The number 9 of Chad Bean, in fact, got in the way of Alex Coffey, could not clear the track, and actually caused Alex Coffey to check up and had a little bit of contact actually on that last lap. So that's why Alex Coffey lost that lead. But going into turn 11, he's still trying to maintain, but not near the comfortable 3 seconds that he had before.
Yeah, he wants that back, no doubt here, because like we said, he has that lower fuel, and you brought it up, Carl. What would that be? What would that affect the car like? And personally, it's going to make the car actually handle a lot better. The lighter amount of fuel load you have in that car, the better it should be able to turn and be a little bit more agile. Now, you will sometimes lose a little bit of that drive off because you lose a little bit of rear weight on that rear end with that fuel. But at the same time, you usually gain a lot of front turn, which helps usually pick up the pace when it comes to a 3,400-pound stock car or road course. So right here is still everybody all stacked up, and Alex Coffey trying to scamper back away.
He is trying to scamper, but doesn't quite have the pace that he had earlier. He did throw down the fastest lap last lap, but he still is struggling to find the pace that he had earlier. And also, Zach, how much of this could be fuel-save strategy? And he saw that he could build that 3-second lead. Now that he knows what he needs to maintain that lead, how much of this could be actually maintaining, trying to preserve that fuel mileage to make it to that lap number he is so desperately trying to reach?
That could very well be it, Carl. And you can save, personally, a lot of fuel here at Sonoma. This is a place that really, it builds itself to save fuel, Yes, you are going uphill a lot of times, so that does hurt your fuel mileage a little bit. But the biggest thing and the biggest way to save fuel here in iRacing, a lot of people will think, oh, short shift, keep the RPMs down. Not necessarily. That's not the best way. Technically, the best way is what we call the lift and coast method. And what you do as a driver there is you're going to lift off the throttle a little bit earlier than you normally would at the corner if you were going full bore or running a normal race lap. So when you go down there to lift at that point, you lift that little bit earlier, you brake a little bit later. So you just take a little bit of that time and the throttle out, and then less fuel being sprayed into that motor, so it equates to better fuel mileage. So Coffey could be doing something like that, lifting a little bit earlier, rolling into the corner more, and using more of that engine braking instead of getting hard on those brakes.
And here he is going through the S's, turns 9 and 10. He has about a 1.5 to 2-second lead now to Ryan Thomas, so he's being able to build that cushion just a little bit more. But I wonder if some of that contact he had with the 9 machine is causing that car to have a little bit of issues, not handling as much as we see some smoke in front of the 7. I think that's from the 56, Richard Wolsifer, who is 7 laps down due to some contact earlier and having to get some repairs. So the 56 just trying to point this one out and get as much as he can, but again wants to try and stay out of the way, doesn't want to have the leader hit him and maybe cause another incident. But we will see going through these next couple of turns as the 40 and the 83 are really battling it out back there. The 40 with a solid lock, trying to keep the 83 behind him. Oh, it looks like we have a car off the track. It looks like maybe the 23 of Christian DeRoche, I believe, again. And there it is. The 56 goes wide and allows the leaders back through. Oh, very dangerous merge back onto the track.
Yeah, that was a little close for comfort for sure. Luckily, those leaders were heads up, able to get around the 56, and tough spot there to go off the racetrack too with that wall there. You're kind of, forced back right there in line, but maybe could have lifted a little bit more to let all 3 of them there clear. But unfortunately, everybody gets through there, luckily clean, as the lappers were having a little bit of trouble. As Thomas and both Coffey flirt with disaster there on the exit of 10 with that dirt. So if you get out there in the dirt, and you can sometimes head off into that tire barrier, and we've already seen Coffey one time tonight get very close to that.
And we've seen other cars, multiple cars throughout the evening, hit that dirt just a little bit and find themselves out in the tire barrier. But right now, Tyler Dangler in 4th position. He is 12 seconds off of the lead, but he is on that 4th position, starting in 7th, doing really well for himself, and again, staying consistent, staying clean, and reducing on the mistakes as we run through this race. And right now, we have 31 laps to go. Alex Coffey is on his 29th lap of this pit run, so he's got to be close to running on fumes, but given that number, he may be able to make it halfway, but there was also yellow flags to start the run, so there's going to be a lot of interesting strategy that Alex could play here towards the end of this race as these laps tick down.
Yeah, here coming to 30 to go here, right here. This is definitely an interesting zone, especially with him going 29 laps so far. That kind of makes it interesting to see. Maybe he can hit pit road for this one final time, but he's going to have to fuel that car completely up, and probably for that, he'll probably just go ahead and take tires. So I think the drivers behind him, though, they're going to take less fuel, be able to have less time on pit road, and be able to not take tires after having to take tires on that last stop. So very interesting calls here still to be made, but I'm telling you what, Carl, it's definitely setting up for a lot of strategy still left to go. And one thing that hasn't changed is out there on that racetrack, it stayed hot all night, 122 degrees still on that track down.
And it's actually cooled down, so that has a little something to say about how the track is developing, how the track is kind of coming into its own. But with a lot of these drivers, there's about as many, if not more, lap car drivers as there are lead car drivers. And as a lap car, Zach, maybe one lap down, but how do you find yourselves to give the lead lap cars enough space? This is a narrow track and it's up, down, really twisty. How, as a lap driver, do you find the space to let those lead cars by?
Yeah, it is so tough because there's a lot of areas where it's only one groove through here, so you really don't want to get off groove. And as a lap car, you want to be courteous to those leaders coming through, but you don't want to give up too much time to where it affects your race at the end of the night. So, you know, you got to be able to get offline in the right spots, let them go when you need to, and try to just make it where it works out best for both drivers and both parties. Not giving up too much time just to let anybody by, but letting them by without having a battle is the key here, and trying to make time while you both drivers, the lead lap driver and the driver going a lap down, both make up that time. So it's kind of a balancing act between both drivers, and we'll see that here as this run continues on, especially because we've seen tonight only 15 lap runs. Tonight we're going to go even farther here, taking it all the way to lap 76 here. So I imagine a lot of drivers going to be in traffic.
And in traffic already, the 7 had to get around the 1 of Mike Thomas, the 77 of Kubinek coming up quickly, and that is definitely affecting the gap that the leaders trying to maintain to the 40 and the 83 behind them. But with that last pass of the stripe, 31 laps on that tank of fuel for Alex Coffey, 29 to go. I'd imagine at some point in the next couple of laps, the 7 would have to come in for that fuel. But Nigel Christensen running 1 lap down, doing well for himself, just trying to stay that 1 lap down, but has quite a bit of ways to go if anything is going to happen. He just needs to survive, and he takes that curb really hard with 45 Dallas Madness in 6th position there, the last car on the lead lap. So already some of these drivers getting ready to go more lead laps down.
Yeah, it's getting tough here as the farther we go into this race. But I tell you what, folks out there, you want to check out some very good merch, make sure you go out there and check out our Store Frontier page here at Freaky Fast Broadcasting. We got some of the best merch out there, and it's definitely high quality stuff that'll help you get in tune here with our Freaky Fast family. So thank you all again for tuning in, and if you want to check that out, make sure you head on over to Store Frontier at Freaky Fast Broadcasting. It's also down in the description there with the link. So if you want to go out there and check out our selection of t-shirts and hoodies out there on our store. So thank you again for tuning in. If you want to check that out, make sure you do. But right now, man, it's kind of trying to make that continue back up, because at the end of stage 2, he was wrecked.
And he is already in the top 6, trying to stay in there. Newcomer within the past couple of weeks, I think Bristol Dirt might have been his first race out here with these other racers for the Wicked Racing League Buttkicker Cup Series. But he has done really well for himself, maintaining top 10 tonight's last couple of races. He's done well as well. So the 45 doing what he can to stay on the track and gain those points, stay on the lead lap. But there was a battle for second place, but the 77 of Kubinek going 1 lap down kind of got in the middle of it on turn 11, and that caused that battle to kind of break up a little bit with a little bit of contact in the 17 behind him. So the 77 Kubinek trying to get out of the way, but not doing it very successfully, as we see the 83 of Christopher Norris. Those tires, those warm tires, trying to come to him, trying to make another run on that second place car.
Yeah, he's trying to set it up here and get back to that car up ahead. And, you know, Thomas got around him early in the run, but it's just been this 83 stuck about a half a second like this for majority of the rest of the run. So it's been a tough time for him here trying to get in position to get there. But we'll see if he can set up something. It's really been mistakes that have allowed most of the passing for Christopher Norris to happen. He's just been kind of mistake-free, while the two ahead of him have made mistakes. They've seemed to have just a little bit more pace and ability to actually make those overtakes.
Just a little, and it's so precarious making those overtakes in all but a couple of corners, really, where the heavy braking zones turn 11, like right here, you can kind of make some time, but that line between braking, not making the corner, and also locking up those brakes is so fine in these cars, and tire strategy is so important. You don't want to lock those tires up. You mentioned the overheating, Zach. That's what all that locking up does. It overheats those tires, gets them warm, and loses that grip. So that's one thing you don't want to do. You want to try and be fast, but you don't want to lock those brakes up.
Yeah, and it's so easy to do. These are huge brakes now on these stock cars here with these 18-inch rims here. So much more braking power, and very much more easy to lock up those front brakes only. And you know, one condition that does seem to be away with this next gen car is not as much wheel hop. It's, you know, with the independent rear suspension, the rear end does no longer hop under downshifts. It's really just lockups that can cause a little bit of wheel hop with that tire hopping one tire at a time. So it's no longer going to be all to both rear tires hopping. It could be just a one-case syndrome for these guys. So a little bit easier to control, but much more powerful brakes can sometimes lead to much more powerful lockups.
Indeed, and right now who's being more powerful is the 40 of Ryan Thomas. Has closed that 2.5 gap on the leaders, actually making a run, and here it is. Alex Coffey to pit road, as well as the 83. Christopher Norris down pit road. The 40 is going to inherit the lead here at Sonoma, so Ryan Thomas going to lead a lap here tonight.
Yeah, they're going to head down pit road here, Carl, and this is going to be an interesting scenario. This sets them up for about 25 laps down to the end of this race, and did a little bit of looking at some fuel mileage. These guys can go upwards of about 30 laps, actually. Most people are thinking around 25, actually, but it can actually be about 28 to 30 here from looking at some of the data from one of the drivers out here on the racetrack. So, man, definitely interesting, but I can tell you what's more interesting is Christopher Norris has just left pit road, and Alex Coffey's still sitting there getting fuel in his machine.
And Zach, you hit the nail on the head in stage 2. The longer time to fuel the car is going to just, be that much longer. And with Christopher Norris, he already had just some fuel in there. With that strategy, Christopher Norris was able to get out and make that jump on the 7. So Alex Coffey has quite a decent gap to have to make up to Christopher Norris right now, good 5 seconds or so, while the 40 of Ryan Thomas still needs to pit. So right now, if everything plays out, Christopher Norris will inherit the lead after this pit cycle.
That he should, and this will set him up for an interesting scenario too. He's got a sizable gap. We saw they were able to actually run pretty similar pace there on to the end of the race, so this could be the battle for the win. But what does Ryan Thomas do? Does he do something similar here to Christopher Norris? That will be the huge question, because he was ahead of this 38 or 83 before that.
And he was, but now there's about a 30-second gap between him and the cars behind him. How is his fuel level in the tank as it runs right now? He has 21 laps on this run of tires and on this fuel, so he won't nearly have to have the amount of fuel as Alex Coffey will. He may fall behind Christopher Norris, but depending on where the cards fall, we will see if the 40 can maintain at least that second position.
Have to see what he looks to do. But while these drivers look to hit pit road for the final set of time here tonight, we're going to head to our final set of commercial breaks. Man, it's been a wild night here so far at the Wicked Racing League here on a Wednesday night here at the Sonoma Raceway, as drivers have been all over the place looking for positions, trying to grab whatever they can. Mistakes have been rampant, but I tell you what's coming up next is these final set of pit stops. Who's going to be the one to lead them to the end? We'll see who can win it all here at the Wicked Racing League here at Sonoma, as it's been a battle all the way down to the end. You're not going to miss a thing. We'll be right back.
Start your engines!
4, 3, 2, 1, green screen. I have no rear grip whatsoever. I'm sideways. Sideways everywhere. Come on, man. Do what you can. The vibration in this car is the worst vibration that I've ever had, and the shifter's broken again.
And we are back here at Sonoma Raceway. Right now, this could be the possible battle for the lead. The 40 of Ryan Thomas still has yet to pit for fuel, but the 7 and the 83 have pit for fuel, and that was quite a large dodge there by the 7, having to take that corner just a little bit more wide than the 83. But right now, this could be the battle for the lead as the 83 is defending really hard through the S's going down the hill, and this is going to be fun going into turn 11. The 7 of Alex Coffey is in that striking range for that braking zone in turn 11, and he is there. He has his sight set on the 83 in front of him, and he is going to dive down low. Oh, he's going to block it up just a little bit. He's going to take that inside line, but Alex Coffey seems to have a better run off of the corner. They are side by side going up the front straightaway, crossing the start-finish line. They are side by side for the lead with 18 to go here for the Wicked Racing League, and we are seeing a bunch of all kinds of racing up through the S's. Turn 1, turn 2, they are banging doors for the lead here. The 7, the 83 have been probably the most dominant cars all night long, and we see them go through side by side, and there it is, the crossover by the 83 into the 7. Oh, the 83 is going to take a hit. The 7 off the track, but Alex Coffey's going to recover. He's going to regain his composure and try to make another run to the 83 in the lead. Well, not the lead, but could be the lead as soon as the 40 machine pits. These guys are racing for it all already with 18 to go here for the Villalobos 152 Memorial Race at Sonoma. And as we're riding on board the back of the 30 and the 83, we see Alex Coffey just get there, just have that momentum going through the S's and coming into turn 11. He's going to be able to get that area and get that braking zone as he's going to take the outside lane. Oh, wow.
What a crazy sequence of events here is Alex Coffey, man. That was contact down into 2. Then you had contact back from Norris down into 4 and 5. It just all started going off there. And like you said, this could be the very well race for the win when we come down to it. But 24 seconds separates them and Ryan Thomas. We'll have to see what the gap is when Ryan Thomas hits pit road, because he very well could have a pit stop fast enough and take less fuel than these other drivers to get to the end.
And there you saw it riding on board of Alex Coffey. He hit that curb into turn 1 turn 3 really hard, got that side of the car up, had to get out of the throttle, but he recovered it well. And there he is. Alex Coffey so strong on the brakes into these braking sections at Sonoma. It's he's trying really hard to make those passes in those braking zones, but Christopher Norris, the steady approach, the consistent approach is actually almost helping him, forcing the 7 to actually make the pass. We've seen a lot of contact. Will the 7 run out of patience and maybe move the 83? We will see as we are 16 to go going into turn 11. Again, coming on 15 to go.
Big move trying to be made again by the 7 machine, but I don't think enough drive off there coming out of turn 11 is going to be as they head here to come across the line. It's 16 to go, like you said, Carl, and I tell you what, they're 23 seconds behind Ryan Thomas. This is going to be interesting to see what it is when it all shakes out. They also have the lap down car right behind him, but Coffey here, as we ride on board with him, he's going to try to make something here happen here before 6.
And there he is. Oh, he gets on that curb. Oh, he has a run. He's going to go off the track again, off the outside. And the 83 of Christopher Norris that time is just holding the line, not really attempting to block aggressively or do any kind of defensive maneuvers. Right now, he's just holding his line. Alex Coffey pushing the car really, really hard and just slipping up just a little bit over some of these curbs and can't quite get the run on the 83.
Fantastic racing between these top two. It's been intense so far, and man, with 15 incoming laps to go, it's only going to get more and more intense. I don't know if the 83 can hold off this barrage, but here comes the 7 with the look down the inside here at 11. Ooh, loses the rear end. I think he's going to wreck it here, and he does get it loose, but he's going to spin it down into the 83, and now going to have contact between those two once more. He's going to be looking to hold on, but he's got to regain a lot of time here if he wants to hold on to that machine.
There was that wheel lock, Zach. We spoke about it not too long ago, and that's exactly what he didn't want to do. He locked up that tire and actually sent him into the spin. And at that point, you're just hanging on because it feels like you're sliding on ice with the speeds these guys are running. And it's just unfortunate break on the seven's part. But we keep talking about it all night long, Zach. The driver who makes the fewest mistakes will prevail, and it seems like the 83 has kept a calm, cool head and just ran his race, forced the 7 to make a move, and forced that mistake.
Yeah, it's been the mistakes that have come back to really help this 83, put him in position. 22 seconds and a half now up to Ryan Thomas. He has closed down a couple seconds here to Thomas, but what does Thomas have up his sleeve? He is yet to hit pit road here. He's taking it longer than anybody has all night long. I'm wondering what he has planned here. He's got to have something planned in the game here of the scheme. I'm very much wondering how it's all going to shake out here, but I think Alex Coffey has plenty of time here also to run this 83 down. He has the pace. It's just been the mistakes when going to look for the passes.
The mistakes have been the Achilles heel of the 17 night here at Sonoma, but right now the field is in control of Ryan Thomas, and you mentioned it, Zach. It is very difficult to judge. He is on there for a lot. This is the 31st lap of this run. He's got to be running that thing almost dry, but if you just get a little splash and go, he may be able to take a little bit of time, even less time than the 83 of Christopher Norris, and who knows where he could cycle out by then.
Yeah, we'll have to see where the cycle out period is, but right now, still 14 just laps to go as you see Thomas here, our leader of this race. It's going to come down to be very, very close between our top three once it all cycles through. Still only about a couple seconds separating them, and here it goes. It's going to be Ryan Thomas coming down pit road this time. We'll get our answer here this time following out down to turn 1. Will Christopher Norris and Alex Coffey cycle ahead of the 40?
And we will find out here momentarily. The 40 making that slow roll down pit road, just watching even these lap cars go around him. And there it is, finally on pit road for fuel. And he still has yet to be passed by the second place of Christopher Norris. And there he is. He gets into his box, and right there is the pass by Christopher Norris, and there's the pass by Alex Coffey. The time starts. There it is. He's off and away. 6.6 seconds of fuel, and that should be enough to get him these final 13 laps. But as he exits pit road, he has fallen considerably, about 6 seconds behind our leaders, if not further.
Yeah, it's a monumental time difference between our top three. Is right now Norris and Coffey both well out ahead of Thomas. Thomas is going to have to hope for fireworks up ahead because that gap very, very much big here with 13 laps remaining only. Can Christopher Norris keep up the same mentality? No mistakes, and will he hold on to it as he almost does, actually heading down to the S's, almost makes a huge one.
Oh, there was a lap car, the 56 in Wolsifer, had an incident going through the corner. I think the 83 was maybe a little uncertain about the course and the direction of that 56 machine, but he corrects it. He keeps it going on the track. He only lost just a little bit of time, but right now, Alex Coffey has about 10 seconds he needs to gain if he wants to be in the running for this win.
Can he close it down? That's going to be the question. He's got to do it. And do it very quickly to put the pressure on and have time to not make the mistake. We've seen the mistakes come back to bite him. He's had the pace. His speed is there in the 7 machine. He's definitely been, if not the fastest car all night long. It's just been those little things that have pushed him back. He had to take more fuel on pit road due to his strategy. That it means he had to catch back up to this 83. So it seems like all night he's just been digging out of a hole. But man, can he climb far enough here to, with 12 laps to go, be in a good position with Chad Bean in the 9, really checks up our leader, and here comes the 7. He's going to be right on the back bumper of the 38 as he dives actually to the inside from so far back.
Wow, that was an extreme dive to the inside, and they are still side by side going through the S's, and the 83 is going to concede it just for a little bit, get on the bumper. There's a little bit of contact, but Zach, that's the second time the 9 of Chad Bean has not only affected our leader, but had contact with our leader. So that's probably going to be something that maybe needs to discuss a little bit, because once is maybe a mistake, an accident, but twice, like, you got to have a little more track awareness about where you are and where the leaders are. I know that the iRacing does give you that blue flag warning. Just wondering if maybe the spot wasn't conducive to a clean pass there.
Yeah, it's that tough spot there down in the turn number 6, and that was such a tough break for that 83. That really took a big momentum loss from him, and the 7 took every bit of advantage of it. I thought there was no way that move was going to work. It stuck, and he held on to it. Right now, 11 laps to go, going to be out front. Will he be mistake-free? That has been his Achilles heel all night. Can he keep it on track, and can he keep this 83 without reaching distance?
And that is the question all night long, is the 7. Can he keep it mistake-free? But right now, a driver who's kept it mistake-free is the 69 Tyler Dengler. Again, solidly in 4th position, in just running his own race, been able to keep his strategy, keep his strike position. 28 laps or 28 seconds behind, but that doesn't matter to him. A top 4 is a good finish for the 69. Oh, it looks like Ryan Thomas has bended in the wall there in the tire barrier, and no, so far not being moved at the moment. Still sitting there off track, not by much.
Oh no, that's not good for Ryan Thomas, and I'm not exactly sure how that all played out, but I actually think it was the 9 of Chad Bean who actually got into him. It was. So the 9 had another off-track excursion and got into another lead lap car, and that is going to be a huge moment with the 40 taken out as Tyler Dingler slides up to 3rd.
And that 40 was in that 3rd position, and that is going to be catastrophic damage for the 40 with that, after that, kerfuffle, as it were, and the 83 really attacking those curves now. As we see him, his 2 tires up in the air, and he is maintaining about a second of a gap there, but not closing it and not growing it. So it's going to be an interesting final 10 laps here as we race and tick him away here for the Wicked Racing League.
It can be so interesting. So tough is it sometimes to lead road course races. A lot of people think, and personally even myself, sometimes it is much easier to be the attacking driver behind, because in these next gen cars you have to push so hard. You have to push right to the edge of the limit of these cars every single lap, that when you're out front you can easily overstep that by going a little bit too quick. When you're behind that person, you can kind of judge based on that person up ahead how fast you're going into certain situations. So a little bit easier sometimes to chase people down than it is to lead out front. Right now, Coffee will have pressure coming down to 9 laps to go. He's been the fastest car all night, but can he hold on to that spot?
And right now the 83 has shaved maybe a couple of tenths off of that gap, but it hasn't really done anything more than that. And there he is, another hard whack off of the curb there in turn 5, it looks like. And here we go again, turn 6. He's just trying to get that car around and use the line, but he's really struggling trying to attack the track. And there it is, up on the curbs again, trying to get every ounce of performance out of that machine as he can.
Yeah, he's trying everything in the book, and up ahead of him, Coffee kind of held up actually by a lap down car. And I believe that might even be Tyler Dingler. It's either Tyler Dingler. I believe so. No, actually, no, it's not. It is actually the 42 of Sam Dyer, who was just making his way through the S's. That 7 machine caught him just at the wrong time. That allowed the 83 to close in just a little bit more. But here we go. Going to be coming to 8 laps to go here at Sonoma. And man, oh man, 8 laps can feel like an eternity when you're out front.
Well, we've been averaging about 1:15 laps. They've actually, last lap, Christopher Norris put down his best lap of the race, actually, the lap before anyway. But Alex Coffey is the fastest car on track, and Christopher Norris was 4 tenths slower, and he had a huge issue during that first section of the track. He's going to fall further on back there. But Alex Coffey, attacking the curves as well, knows that he is not out of the woods yet. That 83 is still behind him. If he makes even the smallest of mistakes, the 83 could come back and steal this win from him.
Yeah, just like that, you never know. In one split second, it could all go away. And man, the pace level has picked up so much for these drivers. Their fastest laps being turned in really the last few here around this racetrack, and it just shows you, as these tires wear, they really don't lose speed, and they do catch a little bit of wear as the run goes on. It's really only about 5 to 10% actually for about a full fuel run, but you really don't see times fall off. You actually sometimes see them get faster. So right here. I expect to see some qualifying laps, but that's when mistakes can come. And right there, Coffee lapping the 23 of DeRoches. A little bit of mistake for him locking up, but it's also some contact from the 83 there as he tries to go by the 23 on the exit.
83 might have misjudged where that lap car was on the exit. He's trying to widen out his exit, and that's where the 23 of Christian DeRoche was. But going up the hill, 7 machine actually has added another second to that gap. So after about a couple of laps, about 3 laps, he's increased his lead to about another second that Alex Coffey has. And so he's maintaining very well with 7 to go. Not to be given away just yet. Again, Zach, you mentioned it. He has had an issue with mistakes, but these last few laps, he's run quite flawlessly and don't see any kind of issues at the moment.
Yeah, he's looked pretty flawless, I must say, on this last lap here, Carl, and that's what you got to do here at Sonoma. And the bigger the gap is, the less risk he can take. You know, the less he'll feel pressured to push that car, and I think the smoother he'll be. So we'll see. Does he put it all together? 7 to go for the 7 car, coming the 6. Man, can he get it done and get himself another victory up there to get that 3rd one of the season to tie that 17 of Gavin Rogers? That would be a huge thing, but little mistakes down into 11 like that will be not helping him. But Norris also sliding the rear off the exit, so both of them making similar mistakes on opposite sides of the corner.
And that's will be the balancing act of these next 6 laps as we are ticking them away. Who makes the mistakes and where, and the various lines. Your line could be different as well, could be slower, could be faster in one corner, and could be the opposite in the other. But right now, Alex Coffey putting together a clinic in these late stage racing, being able to make the pass with some help from the lap cars, but able to make the pass nonetheless, and has maintained about a second and a half gap these last 5 laps or so. And Alex Coffey really digging deep to get that 3rd win of the season.
He's definitely digging deep here, and man, he's going to be looking for that white flag. That's what he wants to see, and then most importantly, he wants to see that checker flag. And if you want to get the best visual flag system out there, make sure you go out there and check out one of our sponsors, iRacing iFlag, folks. They got 64 LEDs that gives you tons of information out there, such as the visual flag state or such even as the spotter that help let you know if a car is to your inside or outside. So make sure you go check out their visual flag system there at iRacingIFlag.com and use our promo code FreakyFast2022 at purchase, and you'll get yourself a discount. And also you can pair that with the digital pit board that they also have on their website. So make sure you go check them all out at iRacingIFlag.com and tell them that Freaky Fast sent you by using that promo code. But 5 laps to go here, Carl. Can Coffey hold off this number 83 who's just been clean all night on the track? But right now the 7 looking to keep it even cleaner.
And that's what the 7 needs to do to win it. He needs to keep it cleaner than the 83, because no one's been cleaner than the 83. He's been up front all race long. He qualified 3rd. He's sitting in 2nd. He hasn't really wandered too far out of the top 3 positions besides pit cycles. So the 83 doing almost a flawless job tonight as he chases down this 7 machine. And right now, 7 has some lap traffic in front of him. That's a 56 Richard Wolsifer trying to get off the track and get out of the way of this lead battle. But right now, the 7, he really was looking forward to that, able to take the Z's without any kind of hindrance and get into turn 11 the way he wants. But right now, hoping not to lock it up, and he looks like he's going to have a clean run through turn 11.
Coming to 4 laps to go here at Sonoma. Gonna need to get 8 more miles here in wine country to be able to hold off this 83 and get his 3rd victory. And Christopher Norris looking for his 1st career victory here at the Wicked Racing League. But what a drive it's been for him tonight, even if he doesn't get there. So great ending here, possibly setting up. But we'll see. Does the 7 keep it scotch-free clean here all the way to the checkered flag? That's going to be what he's looking to do.
Well, he's trying, but Christopher Norris, it's a couple of tenths quicker through that last section, was actually 7 tenths quicker that last lap. So Alex Coffey might have had a couple of mistakes that last lap, allowing Christopher Norris back into striking distance. But through the S's, this is where the 7 seems to be the strongest all night long. Through the S's, 7, 8, 9, 10 through here, going into 11. That's 3rd section of this track. The 7 has been probably the most dominant car all night long, being able to take it so fast and so clean. as he goes through one more time, coming on 3 to go.
This is it right here, folks. Coming through turn number 11. He's looking to see 6 more miles here at Sonoma. Can he hold it back? His man, Norris, a big slide in the background. That's going to open up the door for that gap to grow. Coffee feeling like he can pull this victory off, looking for win number 3. This will be a huge moment for him as he's fought for it all night long, and after to come back from adversity after adversity, this would be I would say a huge victory for this 17.
Oh, definitely trying to keep pace with Gavin Rogers, close that gap even further in the playoffs, have a better understanding, more playoff points. That would just mean so much to this 7 crew and team. The Alex Coffey just doing so well and being able to capitalize for once on a mistake of his competitor instead of making the mistake. Christopher Norris, you mentioned, Zach, huge slide through 11, opens up almost a 3-second lead as it was earlier, and Chris has got to be kicking himself almost flawless all night long, and then under the pressure, just one little slide, and that may be what seals this race for the 7.
That it very well may be. Still need 4 more miles for these drivers to get done. We've seen on the white flag for stage number 1, the 7 made that mistake, spun around up the hill. It can easily happen here. You never know. It can be just one simple mistake in this next gen car here at this tough Sonoma Raceway that could set it up. But we ride on board here with the 83 machine as he tries to close it down here in the closing laps. And you know the interesting thing about this with Ryan Thomas there, unfortunately getting taken out by the 9. Our top 3, the only drivers on the lead lap, and Tyler Dingler, who's had a quiet night, he's going to probably bring it home in 3rd.
And we've been talking about Tyler Dingler all night long. Started off steady, maintained 7th position, and all he's done all night is slowly climb his way through the field, resting in that 3rd position as it stands. And with 2 to go, he looks to be solidly in 3rd. No one near him being able to make those passes. But right now, a plethora of lapped cars coming through and really slowing down Christopher Norris is lying through there. Alex Coffey was able to get there relatively unscathed, but Christopher Norris really caught him at a bad time. It was really hard to pass him though.
Yeah, he's going to need some help with the mistake from the 7 machine, because now Coffey up ahead, heading down to 11 for the penultimate time here tonight. Only needs to see this corner one more time after this to be able to look up to that checker flag. And look at this, heading down the front straightaway, he looks to that white curl.
Down the front straightaway, crossing the start finish. That is the Freaky Fast white flag. 1 lap to go here at Sonoma. Ladies and gentlemen, as the race concludes, don't you go anywhere. Don't change the channel. We will be talking to our top 3 finishers, our 3 cars on the lead lap for the Wicked Racing League to get their thoughts. So as we conclude here, don't go anywhere. We will interview them. But right now, there's plenty of racing. Just 1 lap to go. 2-second gap between him and 2nd place of Christopher Norris. These 2 have battled it out all race long, and just a little bit of pit strategy. We thought Alex Coffey might have been pushing it a little far with extra fuel tank on that last stop, but he has proven the mastermind of the track and been able to squeak out a 1st place and fight off the 2nd place of Christopher Norris as he comes down through these corners and into the S's for the last time.
Here down to turn number 10. He'll look to 11. No mistakes from here. A good exit, and he'll look for the 3rd victory. Alex Coffey, after many mistakes here tonight, I think going to come back with a big victory.
And out of turn 11, the hairpin, he makes his way down the final time, the front straightaway, checker flag in hand, and there it is, the checker flag waving. Alex Coffey winning the Villalobos Memorial 152 at Sonoma Raceway with some fantastic battling between him and Christopher Norris.
That was fantastic. I mean, Christopher Norris there did 15:092. That's 200ths off his fastest lap of the race. He just pulled out there at the very end, and I mean that is just impressive to see. Even Alex Coffey there with about 4 to go, 14:84 his fastest lap of the race. That just shows you how hard they are pushing it all the way down to the end of this race. And just like that, your 76 laps here at Sonoma have come to an end. And man, Alex Coffey here, Carl, going to be definitely super excited and able to pull off this victory and get himself that 3rd one. That's going to tie him for league leading here now with Gavin Rogers. And with Rogers having his internet issues here tonight, it's going to be closing that points gap down to that number 17 machine as we head into next week.
And Gavin Rogers was actually able to, kind of stop the bleeding. He only was able 5 laps down, still with the top 10 finish. So not a horrible points day, but not quite the points day that our leader had. Alex Coffey going through with that victory, that cool down lap, and he's going to burn it down on that start finish as he is well deserved. He had to battle all night long for this win, and he has arisen victorious. So the 7, congratulations to him. Ladies and gentlemen, like I said, don't go anywhere. We will be right back. We're going to take a break, get some rest, and when we come back, we'll talk to our top 3 finishers. So don't go anywhere. We will be right back. And we are back, race fans, for the Wicked Racing League. We just concluded 76 laps of road course racing action here, and our top 3 are here to talk about it. The first up is the 69 Tyler Dangler. Tyler, it is Carl and Zach up in the booth. You had a great run. You just consistent, kept it on track, and had a good night for yourself. How did it feel out there? Everyone was kind of all over the place.
Carl, I am exhausted from that. 70, I thought it was going to be 70 laps. I looked around like 20 laps in, we were 76. So definitely a very demanding race. I didn't think that I would be able to be consistent throughout. Other than that, I'm pretty happy.
Definitely a great ending of that race for you, and able to kind of just ride all by yourself over there to get the 3rd position, and that's got to feel great. But we're heading to Las Vegas next week. How you feel about the mile and a half, buddy? Seems like some big momentum you could build off of here this weekend.
Definitely, Zach. I mean, I've had various luck at Las Vegas and other leagues, and then just in general. So I'm definitely gonna have to put in some practice. Be sure that I can prepare for next week.
And preparation seems to really help with these next-gen cars, and I hope you get all that you can get because it really helps. But before we let you go and you get that practice, any fans you want to give a shout-out to tonight?
Yes, I would like to thank you guys for broadcasting. First of all, I'd like to thank Sam Dyer and Christopher Norris for being in the chat with me, and also Sam for playing some good strategy every once in a while, making some good calls. I'd like to thank my mom and my dad for supporting me through this. And I'm pretty sure that's it. Thank you guys once again.
Well, we got to thank you. You raced a fantastic race. We hope to talk to you next week at Vegas.
Thank you very much.
And that was our third place finisher, the 69 of Tyler Dangler. But arguably the most consistent driver finishing in second place, Christopher Norris. Christopher, it is Carl and Zach up in the booth. You had quite possibly one of the more consistent runs, the consistent cars all race long. What did you need there at the end to maybe win that race from Alex?
Honestly, it would have been tire wear. I just found out from him that he pitted for tire wear on one of those stages, so I think it finally just set in. And I overheard from Sam, he just sailed and hit a 114. I was still only 116s, 115, so I'm pretty sure that was it.
Well, I tell you what, Christopher, it was still a valiant effort, buddy, leading a lot of laps here tonight, keeping the car on track. And, I think that kind of led back to, like, what me and Carl said, just the consistency. I mean, was that the goal here tonight? Because we didn't see you make too many mistakes other than a few slides here and there.
Oh, for sure. I knew in practice that I had a decent speed, being like in the top 5, same with qualifying. But I just knew as long as I'm consistent, I can stay on track, I'm good to go, possibly top 3, and possibly the win.
Well, you almost had to win second place, but next week is Vegas, a pretty high tire wear. Do you think you can carry this luck into next week with that consistency?
Yeah, I think it'll be a good track for me. I know people like Cedric Hunter, Brendan Colley, and Zach, of course, have helped me with that. So hopefully that strategy I've learned from them can push me to next week and possibly another top 5, maybe a win.
Well, we hope to definitely see it and be able to talk to you next week. Any fans you want to shout out tonight?
Of course, one person I want to majorly shout out is Sam Dyer. In practice, he somehow made me go from a 118 to a 116-15, so I appreciate him so much. And then of you guys, of course, my parents, Tyler Dangler for being there, chatting with us, and yeah.
Well, that is good to hear. And teammates, make the dream work. So good luck next week. We hope to talk to you then.
Thank you.
And there you have it from our second place finisher. Just need a little bit. That tire wear we kept harping on actually ended up maybe costing him a win. But the one who benefited, the 7 of Alex Coffey up here next. Alex, Carl, and Zach up in the booth. You had a little bit of a rough start there, but able to pull it all together in the end. Walk us through that.
Oh, yeah, it was a lot of ups and downs in that one for sure. There was a few times, more than a few times, I thought I had definitely ruined the race for myself, but I just had to focus in those last few laps and try to knock off some nice laps and get consistent. I was letting the stress and all that get to me, but it's a physically demanding track. I'm over here sweating still, so it was definitely a bunch of ups and downs, but I'm glad that we landed on an up to end it with.
Definitely landed on a huge up there, Alex, man. Congrats on the 3rd win this season. Now tying Gavin there with the most in the league here now for this regular season. We only have one race left, man, and it looks like now with Rogers finishing 9th here and with his early troubles, seems like not many stage points collected by him. Should be gaining a good bit of points here and possibly even have a shot at the regular season championship. How you feel heading into next week for that regular season finale?
Yeah, we'll have to see how the points come out. I'm looking forward to it either way. But if I'm gonna closable gap, we'll definitely have a race on our hands for sure. So Should be a good show. I like Vegas a lot. Got a Vegas themed car I'm gonna bring out next week, so I'm looking forward to it.
Well, we are definitely looking forward to watching that and being able to talk to you next week. But before we let you go, sir, any fans you want to shout out tonight?
Oh yeah, shout out my mom. She's probably watching. Shout out my teammates TJ Roberts, Dallas Manis, and John Curtis couldn't make it tonight, but Dallas, not really a road course guy. We put in a lot of practice. I told him just hang in there, knock out some consistent laps, and you'll be up there in the running. And he ended up fifth, so I'm proud of him. We're gonna get back to it for Vegas.
Well, definitely, I'll let you go and get that practice. Congratulations on winning tonight. I hope to talk to you next week.
Yes, sir. I appreciate it.
And there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. Was able to keep the speed, keep the tires, and keep his car clean. Able to recover from some earlier mistakes and overall take that checkered flag. Zach, we had a lot of racing tonight with only 3 cars on the lead lap. And those 3 cars, of course, Alex Coffey, Christopher Norris, Tyler Dangler, Jamie Ford rounding out the top 4. Dallas Manis, teammates to Alex Coffey, finishing 5th. Sam Dyer finishing in a strong 6th position. Nigel Christensen recovering to a 7th. JB Kubinek on the cutoff line, finishing there in 8th. Gavin Rogers with connection issues in 9th. Johnny Shade going to wrap up the top 10. And everyone else double-digit laps down. Zach, they had a hard time being able to conquer and tame this track, as hot, as slick as it was, and just the margin of errors was so much finer than we normally see at any really road course that we go to.
Yeah, Sonoma is a beast in itself, man. Not only is it a road course, but it's up and down with elevation change. It's usually very hot since it's in, California, and it's usually during the time of the year we race this track. It's usually in the hottest part of the year. So yeah, it equates to these kind of conditions, hot, slick ones, and it makes it where it's tough. And also then with the next gen car added in with the tires not really wearing and the speed not falling off, it makes every lap the same amount of difficulty with it being that fast and the speed's that high.
And next week we have another kind of a high tire wear track that has a reputation of being hot as well. Las Vegas for the championship race. Ladies and gentlemen, you won't miss it if you hit that like button, that subscribe button. We are all over social media, Twitter, you name it, Facebook, TikTok even. You can find us Mondays, ISRC, Tuesdays, Full Sends. Of course, tonight, the Wicked Racing League. Thursday is Stars and Stripes. We're off Friday, but come back for the WSSR on Saturday night, so you won't miss a thing. But we will catch you later, and so until then, from us here at Freaky Fast, stay strong, stay safe, and stay freaky fast.